Hello, hi everybody, welcome back. Another episode of Beer Talks with John, Addie, and Stanley. Today is actually a pretty special day. We got guests with us, two very good friends of mine who I've known a long time. And this episode came to me uh, out of the blue, and I pitched the episodes to Addie and Stan, and they're like, yeah, okay, sounds good. Today's a teacher special. Firstly, Addie, why don't you say hi?
Hi everyone, welcome back.
Stanley, how do you say hi?
I say hi like this. Hello.
Sweet. One of our guests, Reynaldo. Ray, how do you say hi?
Hi.
All right, that's good enough. And then we also have my good old buddy, old pal, Johansi.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no worries, man. It's a pleasure. As I look out the window, there's a storm. Winter storm. Anyway, we digress. Today's beer of the day is Sapporo Premium. Johansi's pick, actually.
Nice pick.
I think he said that's because it's his only beer left.
Wait, does that mean that I didn't get a pick?
Maybe you can get a pick next episode.
What? I don't want.
I mean, I guess if this is the only pick, it's a pretty good pick, right?
It's on our list, though. To be fair.
Yeah, it is on our list.
I still got kill candies on the fridge. That's why.
Oh, we already did that episode. So.
Oh no!
Johansi, why do you like this drink?
It's just a real smooth beer, man. And you're right. It was the only beer in my fridge, and I don't really drink beer that much anymore. So I was like,
You're a liar. I've known you to drink beer.
Yeah, you have, but it's been a while, buddy. It's been a while, and so no, I spend most of my time not really drinking that much anymore. So this is a really nice. I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited. I love Sapporo. It always tastes great. It's always refreshing. It's, when you drink Sapporo, when you have a Sapporo in your hand, people are like, oh, okay, you know beers.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like a flex.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. People are like, oh,
Cool.
okay, you're not drinking Molson or Labatt, like. Oh, okay.
You're a cultured man. I see.
Wow. Wow. Have you been to Japan? Oh my gosh. You're like,
You got
nah, man.
street cred.
You're like, nah, I had a cool commercial. I decided to try one.
So Sapporo's definitely never gonna sponsor us. If this was the
But just in case,
just in case.
just in
please.
case they are listening,
Mhm.
support, please. We'd love you to sponsor us. We will drink like gallons more of your beer. Right?
Alright,
I know you guys are in Canada, right? Like I've been to Guelph. Please send us more beer.
They have the factory at Guelph.
Yeah, it's made in Guelph, Sapporo now.
Wait, what? So it's not even Japanese.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is? There's an actual law where beers that are imports actually have to be brewed in Canada.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We've been living a lie this
Yeah,
whole
this
time?
is yeah. I mean, it's a Japanese company,
Fair.
but they have to brew it here.
They probably just have one Japanese guy in the factory. Be like, oh yeah, you guys.
just the guy that signs the paper.
Guy with a Japanese
This-
last
this-
name. That's it.
Right. It's probably like some Chinese guy, It's like you're like, he looks Asian. I'll pass. We can get that one. Anyway, I
Right.
poured mine out.
Wait, we didn't do our ceremonies crack.
I cracked mine open already.
Cheers.
All right, cheers everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
So, John, why do we have so many teachers here today with us?
Well, we have a lot of teachers today because apparently they know the future. They are oracles. They are fortune tellers, and quite frankly, magicians. But yeah, today we will be talking to two teacher friends of mine and discussing about kind of just whatever comes to mind. I totally don't have a question list. I'm totally making all the questions up as I go. And just a small introduction. Johansi, if you could start us off. How many years have you been teaching and the subjects and the grades that you taught?
Okay. Well, I've been teaching since 2011. I've taught secondary mostly, a little bit of elementary. Um, I've worked exclusively in one board for Peel. And I've taught quite a bunch of different things. When you're a teacher who's looking for a permanent position, you kind of just take whatever they give you. So I've taught religion, I've taught science, I've taught business, I've taught geography. But I am by trade an English and geography teacher.
Wow. So you just basically put on every basket.
When you first start, that's kind of what you do. You just kind of they're like, listen, we need somebody who can do X, Y, and Z. And you put your hand up and you say, yeah, I'll do it. I don't, you want a job, you need steady pay. So you'll do it. I think I was an LTO for about 7 or 8 years. And the way I got permanent was I was very lucky to be teaching secondary right now.
It's one of the more prestigious positions.
No, for me, my teachables are social science and English. Everybody has those. So it's very difficult to get a position when you have that background. For example, my cousin who is teaching elementary right now, he's got a French background, and he gets to pick which school he wants to teach at as a contract teacher right now, because everybody needs a French teacher. So for me, it was just, you just got to try and be patient, fingers crossed, hopefully something works. And I just got to a point where I said, you know what, screw it. I'll apply to the elementary full-time positions. Maybe I can move up to secondary, not move up, but move to the secondary level in a couple of years when I get a chance. And it just so happened that 2 days before I was supposed to start as a grade 8 teacher at this elementary school that I became permanent teacher, they said, you know what, there's an issue with the hiring process. The position was grieved by another union member. We got to move you. And I said, oh crap. No, one, I was really terrified about teaching elementary because you got to teach 7 or 8 subjects, right? Like, how am I going to teach math and science at that level? I had no clue. The extent of my math is bed mass. And I don't even know if we still do bed mass. I have no clue what's going on in math right now.
It's PEMDAS now, actually.
Cool, great. Great. How am I now I gotta figure that out. Wonderful.
It's the same thing.
And so it was just a crazy ride. They said, we're gonna move you to the secondary level because we know you want to be secondary. We have a place for you. And then I got moved to a school where I knew the principal. He was my grade 9 English teacher. He was the guy who got me into teaching. And it just so happened he was new at that school that year. And so I was very lucky, God works in mysterious ways, man. For real.
Right. And he's like, I know this guy. He's hired.
Well, they called him up and said, listen, we have him. We know that he's somebody that you've worked with before. Do you want him at your school? And he was like, absolutely, in a heartbeat, bring him up here.
That's basically Bob's your uncle.
And then they were like, they were like, listen, we know that you were permanent here. You got hired permanent, so we're not going to take that away from you. So you're going to be permanent now at the secondary level.
On the other hand, we have Ronaldo, who is basically on the former steps as what Hansi was doing with the LTO stuff, right?
That's what I'm saying. Why am I second? I should be first, so that it would be like a gradual process. Like, how do I follow on to that?
No, we like to bring people at a high and then bring them down. So that's our model.
And it's just a slow crash.
Exactly.
Just a downward crash. Why don't you tell us about the same things, Ray? Years of teaching and the subjects and the grades.
Yeah, can I just say copy and paste? I started teaching 2015, 2014. Because when I graduated, there wasn't a lot of jobs. But I am mostly so let's start with the thing. So because of all the whole thing about in teaching jobs in Ontario, I couldn't get into any board, so I had to go to a different country to teach. So I taught in the UK to teach math for a year. Yeah, Jonathan dropped me off from the airport, didn't you?
I did. I was there.
I actually thought I wasn't gonna come back until I found a board here.
Until I cried, and I'm like,
That's
Ray,
right,
please
come
come
back.
back. Yeah, anyways, sorry, continue.
So I was hired initially by Toronto District, and through them I got hired by Dufferin Peel. So now I'm in Dufferin Peel. Because I studied at York kind of screwed me over. So I became an elementary teacher first, and then took every single took every single course that I to get into high school. So now I have a lot of experience in elementary in teaching a lot of subjects, but mostly I'm a math teacher.
Ooh. So you know about
yeah.
PEMDAS?
I know more than PEMDAS. That's right.
Wait, hold on. Is that actually a thing, or are you guys making that up? Because that is not what I learned.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's just another word for
It's
parentheses, right? Parentheses,
exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Lawyer, by the way. Anyway, so now we know PEMDAS and BEDMAS. For math geniuses out there, you know what it is. And then so you are a math major and you teach math now, right? And you're teaching calculus, right?
Yeah. Right now I'm teaching calculus at a high school. Yeah.
And you, Hansi, you're teaching what currently now?
I'm teaching English. I'm an English teacher. That's what I got hired to be. So yeah, I'm teaching English right now at a high school. And
so you must know Shakespeare like the back of your hand, right?
yeah, I know him. I know him a little too well. I walked into a classroom this week, and I was just covering for a coworker of mine, and she was just starting Macbeth, and so I literally stood there for 15 minutes and just talked about Macbeth with them for 15 minutes. Just did a mini off the top of my head. And I was like, man, I know this way too much.
Is it because you wanted to know it, or you were just kind of, put into it?
Funny enough, in university, there was a loophole in the courses I needed for my English major, so I didn't have to take Shakespeare. Because at that time, I didn't expect to be a teacher. And so when I got to teaching, I was like, oh, I should have taken that Shakespeare class.
I mean, you were working smart and hard, I guess. Yeah. Stan, you've been awfully quiet.
No, I'm just listening. I don't know anything about the teaching world. I have one of my very good friends is also a teacher, but I think just based on his stories, I don't actually know what you guys have to go through to get permanent. I don't know if high school is better than middle school or elementary. So I'm just absorbing a lot of information right now.
It's personality. I know for a fact because I taught both. So I taught the lowest I've taught was grade 4, right? There was even right now when I was teaching because I'm teaching at a high school right now. Just a month ago or a few months ago, I was teaching a grade 4 class, and then now I'm teaching a grade 12 class. So it's a personality. You see elementary teachers saying that they can't teach high school, and you see high school teachers that says they can't teach elementary. So it's a matter of personality.
Is that true, Hansi?
Absolutely. There is, under no circumstances will I teach elementary, especially lower than grade 7. I just can't do it.
But you do what you got to do to get money.
You do what you got to do to, but again, as I said, I started applying for permanent positions in elementary because there were more of them. And so, for me, it was very difficult because when you work in a union, everything is about seniority.
Right.
And so if you don't have the seniority even to get on the list to get an interview, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like at the start. Was you have a bunch of people who, they only interview the top 5 for candidates, and that's based on seniority, right? So that's the cutout nepotism.
That's crazy.
Because what was happening a lot was you have principals who knew somebody or was recommended somebody by another principal, and then they would hire them.
Does this apply to just the Canadian kind of education system, or do you think that it's more of a general thing?
Our education system is completely different from the US. I do not know what's going on in the U.S. It's like their education is for profit. In a lot of cases, they have these things called charter schools, and so it's kind of what Premier Ford was trying to bring in.
But I know it's a bit easier, is it not, to get a teaching job in America?
Well, I mean, there's 400 million people. Yeah, and there's schools all over the place. Yeah.
I believe they have also way more schools than we do as well, just like in general. So I think that's why they get jobs more easily than we do.
No, because I remember like when I was before I even got to the UK, a friend of mine, a similar friend of ours, right? He told me, hey man, they're like trying to get people to teach in Hawaii. And I'm like, what the hell? Why am I going to Hawaii for?
Now I'd heard that too. I'd heard that they were looking to hire in Hawaii as well, and it's just too far from family for me, you know. And it's America. I mean.
Let's not even open that kind of worms, you know.
Let's keep that lid on.
Yeah. Let's keep that lid on and move on to the next topic. I guess it's a good blanket statement to say that we're speaking off of our the experiences that we have here locally in the GTA. For those, if we miss out, kind of, or if we're mistaken on some information, for those who are listening who are not from Toronto or Canada or in the Greater Toronto region. Right, so I have a few questions actually, and I kind of want your input. And Addie and Stan are also more than welcome to kind of dissect the questions as they go. I don't know if the sentiment is true about being you're not being a teacher for the money. Ray, can you comment on that? Is that like a real thing, or is that just a you're kind of putting the teachers on a pedestal kind of thing?
No, it's not because of the money. Like, even then, I didn't think I was gonna be a teacher for money, but I teach for different reasons though. I teach it for the breaks.
The benefits, is that right?
Yeah, that's
You
right.
wanted the summer vacation?
That's right. I want to have summer vacation, and I also like talking with minor listening, if that makes sense.
I totally get it. You
Wow.
you like talking and then having essentially fans listening to you, because that's what students are, right? They're like, oh my god, you're so cool.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. I want to be an influencer.
Right. Wow. Okay, we're kind of reaching. I suppose the sentiment is true. It's the benefits are really nice. And what about you, Hansi? Is it like you really wanted to make a difference?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did. You know, I haven't fully realized my goal as an educator yet, and hopefully I'll get there. I am doing some really cool things with the courses that I'm teaching at the school that I'm at. But you know, having 2 months off in the summer is cool, but not so much when your spouse is not a teacher. Not so much when your friends are not teachers. You know, I would rather work in summer and be able to take time off throughout the year.
So what you're saying is Reynaldo is a selfish man that only cares for himself.
No, not at all. Like,
am.
you know,
I am.
at first
Yeah.
I really thought it was really cool to have 2 months off. And you do need to recharge because it is mentally strenuous teaching, especially when you have to teach the academic courses, I find, you know. But really, you're not there is no money.
Right. Rather, you're not. I'm sure there is, but you're not there for that reason alone.
Well,
Right.
when I say there is no money, what I'm saying is, okay, so I work part-time at Costco, right? And if I left teaching after 10 years and being a permanent teacher for, what has it been, 4 years now, and I went to Costco as a manager right now,
Right.
the money would be almost the exact same.
Wow.
So
So you're saying like the pay that you get as a teacher and what you do, it really doesn't equal out.
no,
You put in a lot.
we do. And what people, a lot of people, you know, some misconceptions is that when you coach volleyball or basketball or soccer or football, you get paid for that. You don't. Right? That's your own personal time. When you run a club like book club or anime club or the LGBTQ plus club, those are all done for your love of to give those kids a space where they can be themselves.
Express themselves, right?
'Cause
right.
We never had those in high school. You know what I mean? Like those anime and LGBTQ and those
Mhm.
didn't exist back when I was in high school. I think I'm probably the oldest person here. But you know, and it was and that's something where you recognize like, yo, these kids need a space where they can kick it with their homies.
Right.
They need a place where they can be themselves outside of their homes, because some of them can't even be themselves at home.
hmm
This is the only place, only four walls where they can just be themselves. And so, you know, the money is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not near the poverty line, but I can't go on vacation in February when it's cheap,
Right.
right? I can only go during March break when it's the most expensive,
Mm.
or for 2 weeks at Christmas when it's the most expensive, or in the summertime when it's the most expensive, right?
Right.
So that's part of the problem that I have, is that it's nice to have all that time off, but I would rather go for a week in October.
Right. Right. There's
I really
there's
would.
definitely, it's kind of heartbreaking to know that that is the case, where like a managerial job at a retail.
You know what? It comes with the job.
Right. True.
It comes with
of
the
course,
job,
Of course.
right? Like I don't want to sound like I'm whining. I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful.
Right.
We're really grateful,
Right.
right? Like we get almost 3 months off.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, you know, I would trade that in. Me personally, I know 90% of teachers probably wouldn't, but me personally, I would much rather be able to just take a week off when I want to take a week off. Can't do that.
I'm gonna counter it a bit, because like I think that because from the whole thing about taking breaks off during like when it's cheapest, it's not really a big deal when you have like, because like I'm like, if you think of like when you get a family, right? When's the time when they're off? It's gonna be on those times. So saying that you'd rather have, like, for me at least, the reason why I like my 2 months off and I like my thing is because that's when my family's off.
Right.
So that's when my nephews and nieces are off. That's when all these kids are off, and that's why I don't think that it's a negative. I think it's more of a positive, depending on the type of life that you have, right? So
Right. Like he said, you represent the 90% of the teachers that would say that
I'm basic. That's right.
that are very pro for that. Wow. Yeah, no, it's definitely not to be on the melodramatic side, and there's definitely pros and cons in every vocation that you choose to be in, and these are just a few things that what makes teachers. That being said, I have another question for you guys. If you got the choice, and let's say like you got all the qualifications, you got all the prereqs down. If you were given a choice, would you do public or private? I guess Ray, you could start.
I'm not sure, because I taught at so my private experience was in the UK, while here I teach public. And I'm not sure if it's the same or not, but I really prefer our public system is one of the best.
Wow.
I would agree that I would exactly, like, no, I think
But what makes it the best?
just because of how much we spend in terms of for our kids, or what we have for our kids. And it's not just the spending, it's also the type of people that become teachers in Ontario.
Dang. So you're also tooting your horn,
okay.
as a human being. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
We are the best. That's right. Like, we are heroes of society,
So-
if you wish. Like,
And, like I'm not asking just to be like, oh, like, challenging you, but like I genuinely am trying to, because like I think teachers being teachers is like a very not controversial topic, but a lot of people talk about it in different parts of the world, right? And I keep hearing Canadian education is one of the, I just never understood why, right? Like I know that we have a big education budget, but at the same time I also keep hearing that, I don't know if you guys do this, but like apparently teachers have to like provide their own school supplies for their kids, or like like, then where's all of the budget go, like where's the money that we're spending going, right?
Right. So what you're saying is like you're giving the Canadian board such high praise, and yet it's kind of hard for you to see when you see headlines that are like, "Oh yeah, teachers need to provide their own art supply."
Yeah, like is that just kind of like me reading maybe like too one-sided into a story, or is there kind of just like very like are these things kind of common across the globe? But like as Canadians, we do, I don't know, more like take it a step further for the education system that we've invested in.
Well, so I'll Yancy will probably have a different answer from me, but like remember that our like remember the reason why it's public is because it's free. So that means no kid has to pay
Right.
for anything. So that's I think that's
Right.
majority of where the money goes. So when we talk about
I see.
like whether or not kids will like buying their own school supplies, at least in classrooms, we're given the basic stuff. So for example, Bristol boards, paper, maybe calculators, maybe scissors, maybe some paints. But the problem is they give us all this basic stuff, and then in elementary they expect us to do something better. So they're giving us basically pennies to make like $10.
Right. So they give you like
So they gave you Bristol board and paint, but they
Make
want
a
you to
spaceship,
create
yeah.
Picassos.
exactly. Yeah. They're like, here's a bunch of paper maches. I need you to do the David.
Yeah, that's right.
sculpture.
Right.
Alright.
Because that's right. Like, hey, here's some sticks. Can you build me a house? Like, it's
Right.
like,
So-
like that's how it is.
So you definitely weigh on public side more, right?
I think so. Because I was in the private. I guess when I was teaching in the UK, I was teaching in a private school, and remember, like those private schools are looking for Canadian teachers, because of what they can do, and I think that's what we're trained to do. And in there, we're not. It's a private school, and it has the most, like, I can tell you, like the school that I was working at is a new school, so it has like the most brand new stuff. It is smart boards at every classroom. Right now, this is not a thing, but before, back then, having a smart board, it's like, whoa,
Wow.
rich. All right, you see the difference between the type of students that goes into a private school. So for me, I would prefer in a public school, not only because of what's expected of a student and what we have, it's also because of the students that come in.
Right. What about you, Hansi? What's your 10 cents on public or private?
I think it comes down to one major thing and some minor things. The major thing is job security, right? And so when here in Canada, if you decide to put your child in private schooling, like a Montessori school or something like that, you're paying for that out of your own pocket, right? Where public school is paid through our taxes.
Right.
So, provincial election for the premier, on that ballot, they're also going to ask you, where do you want your tax dollars to go to, public or Catholic education, right? And then you get to decide where that money goes to. They take all that money and then they split it out to all the school boards. And they say, here's your money, now split it out to all your secondary schools, your elementary schools, for supplies and for teacher training, for the things that you need, for maintenance of the buildings and things like that. And I think what we did do really well before the pandemic was we had a lot of opportunities for teacher training. What we call professional development. I've been able to in our school board. I can't really speak for other school boards because every school board is different and it all is based on the region that you live in. But in our school board, there's been a real push to do a lot of professional development around First Nations, Indigenous peoples, Indigenous education. And I've benefited from that and learning from elders, learning from residential school survivors, learning about what life is like on a reserve, and you're able to take that back to your classroom and speak to it in some part. Right? I'm not Indigenous, or at least not Indigenous. I don't have Indigenous blood from North America, but it's not something that I can say, oh, I'm an expert in.
Of course, yeah.
Right. One of the first things I always say in my class, even when I'm teaching a novel written by a Nigerian author or a Ghanaian author, it's I'm going to teach you what I've learned. I think this is accurate because I've been doing this research, but I am in no way an expert. And so for me, I think that's one of the things that does separate our education system here, is that it's not every man for himself. I know that every school board in some part is getting that same education about the indigenous peoples,
Right.
indigenous literature. They might be even getting the same speakers. There's a big emphasis on evolving and moving forward. That's why kids in grade 4, or at least from what I've seen from my nieces and nephews, they're not just given a multiplication table and saying, here, you need to memorize this anymore, right? They're learning critical thinking skills and students, in your what we call the 21st century learner, and how do they learn? How do they interact with their world? We have to learn how they do things in order to reach them. And so those are a couple of the things that I think we've done well. And you have to remember that teachers are pretty much lifelong learners. So they are interested in honing their craft and being better and taking these courses. And I can't tell you how many I've been to in the last 3 or 4 years, or the years before the pandemic, because the pandemic just kind of threw a wrench in everything. Right. I just try to go to as many as I can. One's about classroom management, about diversifying my lesson plans, about integrating different learners in my lesson plans, learning about how they learn, and coding and all these different things that will speak to making me a better teacher and helping me connect with my students a little bit better.
Just to touch on what you just said about, it's such an easy oversight to be like, how our generation, how we digested information back then, and how we understand it and how we interact and how we grow as people is obviously different from how the kids nowadays and how they're absorbing the information. And you do, as a teacher, obviously need to adjust that how we did things back then obviously may not necessarily work on how they do things now, right? Especially with all these sheeshes.
Can you stop? I don't want to hear you say
I
that.
actually have a question, because like you said, there are so many different teaching methods now and kids learn so differently. Do you see a big difference between like when you were a student versus how the students are today? Because like I'm thinking like when I was younger, I was such a shithead, and I was so dumb because there was no Google. Like when I will go to my teachers to ask dumb questions, but nowadays kids, I think, are more intelligent than us back then, because they can at least check Google first, and if Google can't answer it,
Right.
then they go to the teacher and be like, okay, I tried to figure out this trigonometry question, I couldn't find it on Google, can you explain it to me? Like, do you see kind of that difference in kids nowadays compared to when we were younger, like 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think kids will always be kids. Like I know that. Like think about it this way. Let's say that you have have a machine that fixes everything, right? But it's all the way at the very end of the hallway. Would you go and turn it on, right? Like most of the time, you'd be like, maybe tomorrow, right? Because it fixes everything, right? That's the same thing with our with apps and stuff. Like at some points, some kids do all the work in terms of like finding information and being thing, but like some kids are still going to be the shithead kids that'll be like, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Okay? Like, so at least that's my opinion about how these how like the same kids how we were before are basically the same kids now, just in some cases they just have the most powerful device in their head.
There's that meme of like, you remember when your teacher was like, well, you're never gonna have a calculator in your pocket all the time, so you need to know the multiplication table. And you're like, excuse me, miss, what are you saying? What are you trying to say?
My smartphone can do it faster than you.
Right?
Or like
Now
my
they-
smartwatch can do it now.
Right, it's a smartwatch. You don't even need a phone anymore. All these billionaire kids growing up, huh? With their privilege.
I think it's also like in terms of approach to teaching, instead of saying, hey, this is how you do a multiplication table, or hey, this is the thing, the focus is now on like like Johansi said, like the critical thinking skills, the analysis skills. That's what we're trying to focus on, rather than saying, hey, you need to learn your quadratic formula, or you need to. I think it's more to that.
It's like back then, like when I did mental math, it was like, whoa, that's like old school. Like, yeah, you're smart, but I have a calculator now, so I can do this faster than you. Versus nowadays, it's
No, we didn't have it because again, we didn't have an app on our phone that did the quadratic formula for us, right? And that's the difference, is that in education now they're like, well, why are we wasting our time teaching them multiplication, or teaching them, in some cases, like grammar, which as an English major breaks my heart, but you know, teaching them those things when they just have it in their pocket anyways, right? Like I have 80 kids right now in my 3 classes that I'm teaching. 79 of them have a cell phone. The kid who just moved here from India in December has a cell phone. He has an iPhone 13. Okay, homeboy doesn't need to learn the multiplication tables. He's got it at the. He doesn't even have to open his phone. He's got a calculator on the screen. So let's focus on teaching them how to think for themselves. And that's part of being a 21st century learner. Is student-centric learning. Is you put the question in front of them and you say, now think about your thinking, your metacognitive. How are you going to process step by step? How are you going to handle this dilemma, this question, this problem that's in front of you? Right? Where do you start? Why did you start there? What makes you comfortable with starting there? Did it work for you? Why didn't it work for you? So how are you going to pivot out of that? So what's happening now in education that is really interesting is, and I can only speak for my classroom and what I've seen in my career, because I'm sure Ray is probably sitting there saying, well, that's not what I do in my class. Everybody is different, you know, and teaching English and teaching math are 2 different things. You know what I'm saying? Like our approaches to teaching is, you know, I still use a 3-part lesson plan, right? You guys may not know what that is. Ray, do you still use it?
Yeah,
I obviously know what it is, but for those who don't know what a 3-part lesson
it's like a
plan is,
hamburger. You need the bun, you need the meat. Not kidding.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. Is you have a 5 or 10 minutes where you get their mind going. That's what we call mind fun, right? And then you have the as as Ray was saying, the meat of the lesson, which is if you're talking about quadratic formulas, that's what you're doing for 45 minutes in your classroom. And then you have a consolidation where you're going to say, okay, well, what did you learn today? Or what questions do you have about today's lesson? You know, here's your exit ticket, you know, or here's your KWL chart, or here's your, you know, something where you can look at it and say, okay, I got 20 kids in this class, 18 of them get it, 2 of them don't. I got to work with those 2 tomorrow. I got to figure out what they don't know and help them figure it out for themselves. Right?
I realize how important it is I only realize now that the approach is like, back then we're like 1 + 1 is 2, and as kids we're like, oh yeah, okay, 2, fine. But now it's more like 1 + 1 is 2. Sir, why are we learning 1 + 1 + 2 is equals to 2? Like, you now have to justify why it is equals to 2, and you go through a process of, you know.
That comes into mind because just like this Friday, Wednesday, a kid of mine, because I'm also teaching grade 10 applied, and one of the kids are like, why are we learning solving formulas? Because we're not going to use it when we go in real life. And the only answer to them is basically what Johansi said, like, I'm not teaching you math. I know I'm teaching you math, but I'm not teaching you math. I'm teaching you how to absorb the knowledge and apply it to a problem, because math is all about logical thinking and problem solving. And when you get into the world, you're supposed to understand that when you go to the job that you want, most of the time, whether that's skilled trades or whether that's a normal office job, you're supposed to learn things on the spot and apply it, right? So that's what I'm telling them. Like, I'm teaching you how to absorb knowledge faster, not necessarily math.
I'm wondering if this is because the 2 guests we have, Ray and Johansi, you guys are both very good teachers, because that is not even remotely But that's not even remotely close to what I went through school for. Literally, if I questioned my math teacher or my English teacher, why was I learning this in high school? They'd be like, because you have to. We're gonna get tested. We're gonna test you on it. You need this to get into university. Like those were the answers. Versus, it sounds like nowadays there's a bit more nurturing to get kids to think beyond school and think kind of for themselves. And I didn't feel like I got that in high school or elementary, or quite frankly, even in university, I don't feel like I got that.
You want to know why? Because there was in education for an extremely long time up until the 21st century. It was my way or the highway. There was no collaboration between the teacher and the student, and that has changed in education, especially here in Ontario. I can't speak for other places, but this is what it's like now. Part of the issue with evolving education is that you're going to leave some people behind. You know, our age group, and then our parents, and then their parents, right? Our older brothers and sisters who have kids who are 10, 11, 12 years old, who are trying to help them with their math homework and have no clue what the hell is going on because they've never seen that. So they can't help their kids, right? And then you have those parents who are maybe they're new immigrants to the country. And not only can they not help them with their math, right? They don't know the language that well. So there are some barriers to this new way, right? But you can't stay stagnant just for the sake of staying stagnant. You got to move forward. And, you know, that question of why, it happens all the time. Why are we learning this? Why are we doing this? And it's, you know, why are we solving formulas? Well, at some point in time, you're going to have $200 and you're going to need to buy, or you're going to have $2,000 and you're going to have a house. You're going to need to buy flooring. And you're going to need to figure out how many boxes of flooring you need. Because when you come home, your partner's going to say, you idiot, you bought too much flooring and now you got to go back. Or you moron, you didn't buy enough.
That's right, you
flooring,
idiot.
and now you got to go back and buy more. And now you got to go in Costco on a Saturday at 4 o'clock and buy more flooring,
right.
you moron. So these are the things that you're trying to teach. And this is how I speak to them in my class. Not every teacher does that, but I say, trust me. I'm sure you've seen the conversation between your parents.
You moron.
You moron. Why did I marry you?
Exactly.
You can't even do simple
I
math.
told you.
This is
I
what you're
how many
talking
times did I
about.
tell you, solve for x. How many times? How many times did I say? Huh? X equals tiles.
How many times
solve
did I
for
tell
x,
you?
please.
Right? And so that's really what where education is now, and I think it's in a solid place, but it's in a tenuous place. What's happened over the last couple of years in terms of the politics of the education system here in Ontario with Premier Ford has put education in a precarious place because everything costs more, right? Every year, every day, everything costs more. Education costs more, and healthcare costs more. And if you're not willing to pay for it, then our schools go from top to the bottom of the list. Our hospitals, our medical clinics become understaffed, and our society becomes, less healthy. So, but and not to get onto that stuff, but like this is one of the things about our education system here is, I laugh when I see people who are very successful who are in publicly funded education. I know you're in publicly funded education because I sat with you in class, who are now telling me that they're smarter than those who have been trained to be teachers, and they're going to homeschool their kids. And I'm like, but the reason why you're educated is because of the teachers that taught you. You didn't do this on your own, So it's like, are you? Can you do that?
Isn't there also like a shifting idea? Like I'm also hearing a bunch of parents who are saying that, oh, teachers, like I don't know how you guys do this every day because they're just teaching their one kid because of COVID, right? So I think there's also like a shifting narrative now, because like the same thing with what Addie said about like how like the whole my way or the highway thing is because of just the whole situation that the whole education system was in, right? Because back then you're built we're still trying to get to where we are now, like the total 21st century. So it's the same thing with like immigrant parents. Like if you can't Like there's too much work to to tell your kid, hey, this is why we're doing this, just rather than saying, hey, we're doing this because we don't have time. But now, because of technology, we now have time. So now we have to explain it. Because or else these kids have so much time in their hands, they're not gonna find that reason to do anything that you're telling them to.
So based on what you guys said, right, like we're more focused on like developing critical thinking, and I think that's great, because I think that's essentially what I think people in our generation got to learn at like secondary education. We never got this luxury like early on, right? But with this, I guess, narrative shifting, I guess to a younger and younger age, do you find that you'll find I don't know, kids in your class that you already see that they have these skills, maybe not as developed as like advanced, but you're like, yeah, you know what, they have it, but then they're also like, I'm bored, I don't want to do math, right? I already know how to think critically, and they've demonstrated that to you. Do you care as much if they like end up failing your class? I don't know if that's like the right question to ask, but I'm kind of just like, because I can totally see this happening where someone's like bored in class and then they're like, I already know
I think
this.
actually will agree with me. I'm not sure if she uses it too, but do you use differentiated instruction at all? Yeah. So differentiated instruction is basically what they teach you in teachers college as well as any kind of professional development, and that solves that problem technically. Like it's not perfect, but when you're supposed to, yeah, it's a solution. So rather than you'll see this nowadays in a classroom where instead of the teacher teaching like the teacher will teach the problem and the whole 3-step thing, right? The consolidation is where you do the differentiated instruction, where you like whatever you do, right? It always triggers your weak, mid, and strong. So, all right. It also triggers different types of learners, like visual, auditory, kinesthetic, those kind of things. So that's right. Your lesson should trigger all those things so that at the end of the day, at the end of the lesson, who's your weak people, what type of solution do you need to, so that the people who are above are not bored, those kind of things. So that's what's happening right now in our classroom.
And do you see like a big discrepancy usually when you have that spread? Do you see like the high people are like really far away from the low people, or do you see that now it's kind of like it's closer together because of the way we're teaching and stuff like that?
It's always just like it's always like a curve, right? There's always going to be more people in the middle rather than the high and the low.
Yeah. I just meant that is the disparity really
not at the
big?
secondary level, because you're separated into applied and academic, college and university. I think in elementary you'd find that a little bit more, and then now, like, I don't know about you, Ray, but the de-streaming of grade 9, they just de-streamed math in September. They're de-streaming English, which means all the kids are going to be in the same class. It's a mixed class for grade 9 math. So you're going to probably see that more, and differentiated instruction matters more in those classes, because you're going to have some really strong kids, and you're going to have some really weak kids, and they're going to be all mixed together now. And so differentiated instruction, as Ray said, it's not perfect, but it does allow you to say, okay, so here's my lesson plan. Okay, here's the part that the visual kids are gonna really get. Here's the part that the auditory kids, the kinesthetic kids, are really gonna feel good. And then here's my consolidation. Okay, so maybe for 10 of the kids, I'm giving them this set of questions to solve, but my really high kids, they need something that's more challenging, so I'm gonna give them this set. Right, and those kids who are really struggling, I'm gonna give them this set, so it helps them build their base, so that I can get them to at least the middle. Right, so that happens in math, it happens in English, it happens in social sciences, it happens in science. It happens everywhere. I might give my really high kids, my really strong writers, maybe I'll have them write me a series of paragraphs, 3 or 4 paragraphs, where I'll have my really weak ones give me a paragraph. Oh, and it doesn't have to be formal. I want you to just write it in first person. I just want you to get your thoughts down on paper, because you got to get them to be able to give you an opinion, right? Like, that's the most important thing, is what's your opinion on this book? What's your opinion on this story? What's your opinion on this movie or play or this topic, right? That's really what English class is about. It's about reading and understanding it, but also being able to say, I liked it or I didn't like it. And here's what I didn't like. Here's the character that I did like. Here's the character that I didn't like. Here's a specific thing that this character did that I thought was stupid or was brilliant.
Yeah, because like I wanna, because like whatever, what differentiated instruction as well, and the whole de-streaming thing. There's also a bit connected to what Addy was saying about the whole generational thing from past to present to future. Because the future now is de-streaming, because we're trying to make sure that the people who are, because like once you're labeled as an applied kid, it has a very derogatory term. That's why we're trying to get rid of it. But in like I can tell right now in the math department, I have a bunch of grade 9 teachers complaining about it because like, oh my weak kids will not catch up to my strong kids, right? So there's always this kind of type of like opinion that you have to go against the grain to push yourself forward into education, right? And to answer what Stan was saying about the whole elementary is very, very apparent. Like it's my weak kids can be because they push people even with IEPs in the same classroom, right? So I have kids who can like read, write, do math at a grade 3 level, but they're in a grade 6 classroom, right? So there's a wide disparage in elementary.
Yeah, and you know, part of evolution is that some mentalities, some philosophies are going to go to the wayside. And Ray already knows where I'm going with this. You know, that to me, you know what that sounds like to me from what Ray just said? My immediate thought was, oh, that sounds like a teacher who's closer to retirement than at the start of their career. Because they're not willing to change. They're a fossil. And you get that, right? You get to a point in your career where, and this is what I never ever wanted for my own career, was get comfortable and I'm literally on just auto. And I'm just cruising through the school year because I'm just teaching the exact same thing every single year in the exact same way. I don't want to do that. And that's why, you know, I really enjoy a lot of the things that I'm teaching at the school that I'm at right now in the English program, because we're just doing some really great stuff.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but we could probably keep going for God knows how long at this point. There's definitely a lot of things that we want to keep talking about. I got so many more questions. I don't know about you guys, Addy.
Oh yeah, totally. Haven't even gotten into like how kids' social lives are now compared to when we were in school.
I know.
Do it under like Patreon
right?
stuff, like it's unlocked.
Tier 2,
Yeah,
tier
it's like
2.
as teachers, do you have Instagrams? Do you have
Tier 2.
Instagram and TikToks?
I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now. I have both. I do not have my students on either.
Good.
Like there's a separation.
Right.
The one thing that I don't know about Ray, but one thing that I've seen that really kind of I'm not with is this idea that because I'm a teacher, everything I do on social media has to be about me being a teacher. I am the complete opposite. I don't do anything on my social about being a teacher.
Right.
Very rarely. I might retweet some stuff that I see from my professors from when I was in teachers college, like, oh, cool, you know, this is really cool what they're doing in the States or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But really, I'm on Twitter to catch some jokes. I'm on Twitter to hear people get roasted for their outfits at NBA All-Star this weekend.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm on there for. I'm not on there to you know what I mean? Like, there's a time and place for that, and I need a separation.
Yeah, it's very divided.
And some people are looking at me like, oh, do you follow your school Twitter account? I'm like, hell no.
I like that response.
Absolutely not. Because I don't want them to see what I'm retweeting. At all.
But I get like Jonathan telling me, hey, aren't you a math teacher? Can't you just calculate this? I was like, I'm off break, man. Don't
listen,
calculate.
You know,
listen,
when somebody
as an English teacher,
Yeah.
people always say, oh, have you read, you got to read this book. No, I don't. It's not on my school board's book list, so I do not have to read it. Thank
yeah, you do,
very
you
much.
Hansi. The third version of Modern Macbeth. You haven't heard it?
Ugh.
I think Nicolas Cage is the author or something. He's like
Boo.
Anyway, we can definitely keep going. There's definitely a lot more topics we can talk about. Just on a closing note, we had Sapporo today. Everybody liked it. Nobody commented on what it tasted like. Everybody was just like, nah, it's good. it's made in Canada because imported things are lies and
Yeah.
deceit. And
I
yeah,
would make
it's
a note.
by Japan, made in
I
Canada.
would make a note on this because again, I'm not the beer drinker here, right? But I would have to say, I think of so far of the beers that we've had, this one had the best first
stop.
taste. Like when my very first sip
But-
was like, oh, this is so refreshing. And
You're
like,
welcome.
You
You're
Hansi, don't
welcome.
support this kind of
Have
behavior.
me on
it's
anytime.
true.
You're biased.
Yes, thank you.
You're biased. Oh my gosh. You're biased. Thank you guys for for coming to the podcast. Beer Talks, Johansi and Ronaldo. We're not gonna plug their socials because, as Johansi said, that's a very separated thing,
However,
and he just wants shits and giggles and memes. Really,
However, if you
and-
want to follow me, I have no problem with it. You're just gonna get a lot of sports talk. That's really all I do on my social is sports talk. So
however, we do have a plug for RCLS Adelaine.
yes,
take over.
CLS. Comment, like, and subscribe. You can find us on the socials on Instagram or TikTok at BEERTALKSTO. So that's Beer Talks TO. Guys, I got this in one go. I think I'm on a good track.
Yeah, you're getting better at this.
You did. You're 2 episodes in a row. Yeah. Right. Johansi, do you want to plug anything?
Where can the children find you?
Where can the children find you?
it's Black History Month. It's Black History Month. Just go out there and familiarize yourself with Canadian Black history. There's a lot that we weren't taught in our schools, and you know, everybody just be safe and take care of each other and love each other, man. That's all I got.
Facts. Ronaldo, you got anything to plug?
Shout out to Bezos for making such a great game. Lost Ark.
Wow. Shout out to the wifeys of Johansi's and Ronaldo. I'm sure they're if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be here where they are now.
I have a shout out.
Okay,
Anyone
Addie,
that's listening, kids, if you're a parent, your kids, tell them to respect the teachers, man. If we learn anything, the system's changing. Teachers work
real.
very hard. I have more respect than I've had before for teachers, especially hearing how, well, like what you guys have to do now in school. So huge shout out to teachers. You're shaping our future, like our
Heroes,
future
man.
generation.
Heroes.
Yeah.
Heroes of
Heroes.
society.
Stanley, you got any shout outs? Because apparently we're doing shout outs now.
To teachers listening, I guess.
Right, shout outs.
Yeah.
More power to you. Again, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for listening. I hope we get to do this again. Ronaldo Johansi, thank you very much. Means a lot. I hope we share drinks. Thanks, Sapporo. Not sponsored. Soon.
Not yet.
I hope. Not yet. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.